Mm. Never heard this song, but I like it. Mm, I'm so proud of myself. Mm. Thank
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
All right, now. So we are so excited to celebrate the beautiful Kishana on this evening. We are honoring her for this growth process that she has been undergoing, and she has officially graduated to a whole nother
Woo!
level. And we are very excited to connect with you tonight and to learn more about your journey. So, if you have not gotten a chance to check out Kishana at our Spiritual Mothering Summit and or read the bio on screen before we jumped on, we have the beautiful Kishana Cesar. She is a young woman who had experienced hardship for as long as she could remember. She'd gotten comfortable with the suffering without realizing that it was pushing her into a deeper hole of deceit, pain, and confusion. When she finally awakened to the truth that she deserves so much more, Kishana sought out the help she needed and has since evolved into the woman she is today. One that is making both her current and younger self proud by becoming an inspiration to others. As a firm believer and advocate of personal development and self evolution, she is aspiring to become the educator she always wanted growing up. So,
Mhm.
welcome, welcome. My name is Ativa Nicholas. I am the nurturologist and I am going to be your host tonight. And again, we have the beautiful Kishana Cesar. So go ahead and say hello to the people. Tell us
Hey
how you're
people,
feeling
hey,
today.
hey. I feel so great. I feel amazing. Like words can't describe how I feel. As the song said, I believe it said it's a celebration. So
Absolutely.
absolutely, that's exactly how I'm feeling. I'm so excited because it's just like, why not? And it's a
Yes.
blessing in itself to be alive to see another day. So that's another
Yeah.
reason to be happy. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me tonight. We are going to talk a bit about your journey. We're going to talk about the before, during, and after, and also kind of what we can expect from you in the near future.
Mm.
So, let's just have a conversation. I do have some questions lined up, but I just want to start by asking, what was your life like before joining therapy or coaching with me? Well, paint the picture for us. Tell us what life was like just before you got
Okay.
started with me.
So I'm not gonna lie, this starts all the way back to when I was in Florida. So I lived in Florida for 18 years of my life. This, that's where I'm from, born and bred. And life was pretty challenging, I will say. I went through a lot of traumatic experiences at such a young age, which is not ideal, but it happens, which is not a thing that is supposed to happen, but it happened. Um, uh, oh, sorry. I just drew a blank. I'm so sorry. Yeah, 18 years of my life that I've lived in Georgia. Then it got to a point where I feel like after I graduated high school, which was in June of 2021, that's when my life shifted. Um, so then after that, took some time, tried to, I was lost, confused, took some time away from school. I didn't really feel like I had the best support system to continue going to school because I actually did get accepted into a really great college in Florida on a dean scholarship. So it's not that I wasn't capable. I just didn't feel like I was supported enough, or I didn't feel like there was a purpose for me, to be very honest. Then it got to a point where I ended up getting kicked out in October of 2021. It's not that's it was it felt like it was the catalyst for it all, I will say. But I can say that it did push me in a direction that shaped me, that molded me to be the woman that I am today. Not saying that I would ever want to that to happen to someone, but if I had to redo life, I would do it all over again. I would not change a single thing because it wouldn't have made me who I am today. And honestly, I've accepted what I've gone through to get me to where I am. I'm not ashamed of it because that's a part of my story. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, and no one can use it against me because I've accepted it. It happened. I'm not going to let that be a reason why I don't do better or try to be better for myself and for other people who've also gone through traumatic experiences as well. So I will say that it's tough. It is. It's never not going to be tough. However, you do have to be willing to do better for yourself and to seek out the help that you need. And even if you feel like you don't have that, try to find someone that will be there to support you, because I will say that if you have one person in your corner, that will be all the more reason to help you get out of that funk that you're going through, because then you'll feel like you're less alone. Then you'll feel like, okay, I have this one person who has my back. Now I can do it all. Now I can try. I can do something. So then after that, I ended up moving to Georgia, in October of 2021. And I lived there for about 2 years. I ended up going to Clark, Atlanta. It was a pretty good experience, but I can say that it it where I needed to be at that time. Like, if I It's not to say that I didn't have the support, but I think I went back to school too soon at that time. Even though I did take a year off after I graduated. No, because excuse me, I started Clark Atlanta in 2022, the fall semester. But it was a great experience because, I'd always wanted to be around people who were, smart and seeking out higher education and trying to be their best selves, and it's something that I wanted to be a part of. But even with that, that still didn't it's like it didn't really help me in that sense, because I still felt like I was confused and I was lost, and it was just like it was like a never ending spiral, I will say. But I still tried to navigate through it, but it's like the it was like a web. Like I just kept creating a bigger web of confusion, and it was chaos. It felt so chaotic. So then it got to a point where I was actually pushed, not in a bad way, but pushed to seek out therapy. I'd done it previously for a short time, but at that time it just, it ended. But then I got back into it with the help of a cousin of mine, and I started in October of 2023. So, yeah, we're 2024 now. Yeah,
Okay.
started
All
in
right,
October
hold on. We
2023.
we're getting
Ooh,
to that threshold, right?
yeah.
So I want us to kind of stay in the before.
Okay.
And I just want to highlight that you most definitely can't even talk about your past without being empowered. There
Right.
is a language of, yes, that was that part of my story, but the empowerment is so um palpable, it's tangible. I can tell that you
Mm,
are not in the same frequency as you were when we first
mm,
met, right? So I want to stay there a little bit because for people who are going to watch this, right, they may not be in that place of empowerment yet. They
mm,
may still feel lost and confused. They may still feel like they're in the chaos of it all. They may feel like they want to do something, but either they don't have the support system or they haven't been pushed or encouraged to change or to go through therapy or anything like that. And so we want to kind of give them some support, right? We want to lock arms with them
right.
and give them a hug and be like, look, it's okay because we know that experience. And obviously, we've shared a lot about my alignment with your story in different ways. But let me ask you this. What were some of the specific challenges or pain points that you were facing before we started our work together? So we're still in this life before
Mhm.
therapy, right?
Mhm.
What were some of those specific challenges? You don't have to go too deep, too many details into your story, but like,
Right.
what could you say were some of those pain points that that kind of got you into or got you to that threshold? What is
Mm,
it that brought you to the door?
um, I will say from my childhood, I was molested at a very young age. So it did trickle into my teenagehood and a little bit into my adulthood. Um, that was one of the biggest things for me. It took away, I felt like it did take away it took away my innocence. It took away my I'm not gonna say youthfulness, but it took away my joy. It took
Mhm.
away my confidence. It took away I felt like at that time it took away my livelihood, because I didn't even realize that it made me so depressed, because at that time I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't have anyone that I really could talk to about it without feeling like it was my fault. Even at that young age, I still felt like it was my fault that it happened to me, when it was never my fault. I did nothing wrong. I was an innocent child, and it just so happened that that person, those people, did what they did thinking that it was okay and there were no consequences to their actions. That was one of the biggest ones. And then I did have quite a few people that were basically blaming me for that happening to me. So that played a lot into who I was as well. So it that in itself created a spiral of never ending lies, because even when I did tell the truth, nobody ever believed me. So it got to a point where I was just lying just because I could lie. Because even if I did tell the truth, no one believed me. So I took that with me as I got older, and it did affect a lot of the relationships that I had. Because even when I needed to tell the truth, or I knew that I had to tell the truth, I felt like if I did, no one would believe me, or I would be reprimanded for telling my truth at that. So that was definitely something that did, I'm gonna say it, I lost a lot of friendships because of that. And then also because I felt like I was at a point in my life where I was, I made the move from Florida to Georgia, and I did lose some friends during that transition as well, because they did see that I was progressing. So I guess I didn't really receive an answer as to why we stopped talking, but I believe it was because I was progressing and they weren't, or I just got myself out of of a situation that was no longer serving me. So that there was that. I didn't feel like I had any friends anymore. I didn't really feel like I was supported by the people that, said that they were going to be there with me and for me. So that was one of the biggest things. And I think it did create a codependency in me for these people. So I felt like if I didn't have them, then I wouldn't be good enough, or I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. And it's gotten to that trickled into almost every other relationship that I had, when it's just like, I don't believe in myself. I don't feel like I can do this. I don't think it's going to work out. So it's like every decision that I would make, I was either looking to someone to help me make those decisions, or I was just second guessing myself because I didn't feel like I was good enough, or it was enough. So it's oh wow. Wow. That's wow.
Yeah. Thank you for going there. I
Wow.
really appreciate that. And as you're saying, wow, I'm here with you, and I'm like, yeah, that was a lot to be going
Yeah.
through, and to have all of that stuff happening in the background and even at the forefront of your life for such a long
Hmm.
time. I could see why you would feel that push either from other people or even from internally, because people could encourage you to go to therapy, but unless you take that step, it's not going
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
So, I could see how all of that would have, gotten you to the door at least of trying to seek out some support. And in that, wow, I can sense that you're realizing, like, when you think about the specific details of your life, your daily life,
Yeah.
your relationships, how you felt about yourself, how you felt about life in general, when you
Mm.
think about all of that as a part of your story, it's like, damn, that was a whole chapter. Like, if we read that line for line as a chapter, we might be crying, like, oh my God, why is this person going through that?
No,
You
for
know?
real. I even thought about that myself, because like that wow, it was like, damn, I really did go through all of that. I did. And it's like, it's just so crazy, because as you said, it feels like a chapter in my life that's like, whoa, that was you, that was
Yeah.
you. Like I
Right.
always get to that point when I think about where I came from, and where I am now. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of times in our conversations, I would forget a lot of the things that I went through, because it's just like I no longer identify with that anymore. But then it's like, don't discredit myself for what I went through, because
Right.
it got me here. I have
Right.
to
Like
also,
like all of that stuff needed to happen in a
in
weird
order for me
way
to get,
for
yeah,
you to be pushed to do something about it. Otherwise,
right.
if the chaos hadn't continued and got you to that point, you might have, which you were to a certain degree comfortable in that dysfunction, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that we definitely unpacked. But let's say we can move on to the next question and we'll, unpack that a little bit more. But what was it that made you decide, despite everybody else that might have been pushing you to seek out support, what made you decide that it was time to seek support through therapy and or coaching?
Um, I didn't want people to keep feeling sorry for me, and I didn't want to keep feeling sorry for myself more than anything. Um, and I wanted to change. I didn't know what that was gonna look like, how it was gonna happen, or when it was gonna happen. But there was like, it was rooted deeply within me. That's just like, I need to get out of this. I need to shake this funk off. I need to do something in order to get somewhere else because this is not working for me. I like it. It was. It's like when like you feel so uncomfortable within yourself, not because of what you look like or anything, but just the circumstances within itself. It was so uncomfortable, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Even though I didn't think it up here, I felt it in here. And it's like in here internally, it was like something needs to happen, something needs to change. I don't know what that change is gonna be. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but some need to shake, and it needs to shake right now. So as much as I was against it, my physical self was against all of that. Internally, my spirit was just like, nah, you can't sit in this dysfunction no more. You can't sit in a place or stay in a place that's no longer serving you because it is hurting you more than it is helping you. And something that I learned throughout this whole process was you can't heal in the same place that hurts you. For some people, it may be the case. However, for me, I couldn't do it. I had to get out of it. And it's like, it may, like I said, it may work for some people, but I feel like you're putting in a lot more extra work than you have to because you know that you need to be out of it, but you don't have the resources, so you're trying your hardest. But I'm like, I'm a testimony to getting out of where you are to get to where you need to be, because I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because nothing worth having is ever easy. So you have to be trying hard, you have to be putting in the work, but you have to really want it in order for you to get it. So it's just like,
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So you just your spirit really helped you to make the decision. So your
it did.
physical being was obviously tired and hurt by what you had been going through, but because it was comfortable, even in all the discomfort, it was still more comfortable than the unknown of,
Yeah.
going through this process. But your spirit, your inner self was saying something needs to change. And I really appreciate you sharing
Hmm.
how you got to that point. So now we're at the door. You finally listened to yourself, right,
Right.
internally, and you crossed that threshold to get some support.
Hmm.
And then I call you.
We called each other.
Right. Well, we get on the
Uh,
phone. Let's just say we're crossing this threshold and we're just getting to know each other, right? So,
mm,
as your therapist, I, initiated the conversations because you were kind of just waiting. Okay, who is coming to help me? Who is, where is
yeah.
this support? I don't know
Yeah.
what therapist. It wasn't like a better help situation where you got to check off these boxes of the therapist that you wanted to have. It was
No.
more like trusting God and saying, okay, my spirit is leading me to the place that I need to be, and I'm just gonna allow. And so then
Right.
I show up, right? And obviously, my higher self is like, yes, that was such an amazing moment. They're so proud of themselves that they orchestrated all of that
Yeah.
for me to need the gig that I got in order to show up to be there for you, even in the midst of everything that I was going through. Like they're rejoicing right now. They're like, yes, it
Right.
was it was divine alignment for them to come into each other's lives.
It
Okay.
was. It really
So,
was.
all right. Can you describe what it was like to start the process of working with me? And
So
you
easy.
can kind of go into some of the things that you appreciated most about those beginning stages of coaching with me.
Um, First, what it was like getting with, like, interacting with you, talking to you, it felt comfortable. It felt like it's like you, how do I put this? So I had so many people around me, but it didn't feel like these people were the type of people I wanted to, how do I put this? The people that were around me, and that supported me in their way. It wasn't the type of support that I needed, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted to grow into my best self, but they didn't exemplify that for me. What they look like for what they look like was what worked for them, but that didn't work for me. Like, as much as I tried to fit into that box, I just couldn't. It didn't work for me. I tried time and time and time again, but it just felt like every single time I tried, I would be pushed back on my ass again. And it's just like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it fitting? Like, what is going on? I'm trying so hard, but it just won't stick. And it's like I was also met with like this voice that's just like, okay, you fucking up too much, you need to, like, I don't know, you doing too, like, you're not doing enough. But it felt like on my end I was doing so much, but those efforts still wasn't enough. So it's just like, what do I do now? So then, I'll say that in the beginning of our, meetings and our interactions, you definitely, even though, one thing I will say is that I was all for it. Like, I wanted the therapeutic coaching and the help. That's the one thing that I wanted the most. And I could feel that from you. And I felt like the more I interacted with you, the more that we would communicate, the more that you would help me, the more that I would find myself. Which is true. I definitely did. And it's shaped me to be this woman that I am today. And I can say that I've shed a lot of tears. I've been confused, but it was a type of confusion that I needed in order to awaken a side of me that I didn't know was already within me. So it's just like,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
So what I'm hearing, yeah, what I'm hearing you say is kind of like when you're rearranging your house, you're rearranging furniture, right? It gets
Yeah,
messier before
it
it gets
gets cleaned
organized
up.
and clean
Yeah,
the way you want it to look. And so
exactly.
you started out with that level of confusion and chaos because of what was going on in your life. But then
Mm.
when we started working together, we were sifting through that
Yeah, it's
together.
like the
And it
puzzle
might have
started
felt,
putting
yeah, it
together.
might have felt confusing to like pick up this piece and look at it and say, is this something we want to keep? And
Mm.
well, how do we want to relate to this aspect of your experience? And then decide how to approach, processing those things. And so there was some confusion, like, I don't know. I appreciated that experience, but it's not healthy for me. Or I hated that experience, but it's making me, who I am and all of these different things. So um I heard you say that it was very comfortable working with me. Um, if you could kind of put our connection in one word, how would you describe working with me?
I don't like having to do one word because there's so many things that just, it's like, girl, you're multifaceted. Like, it's just like there's so many pieces and sides of you that's just like, how do I just fit you into this one thing? Um mm, uh I like the fact that I said multifaceted. I'll say that
Okay.
because, as I said, there's so many sides of you that is just like, wow. Like, I can't help but be fascinated by you. Even like every single time we have a conversation, it's just like, and I learn more and more about you. It's just like, whoa, like
Yeah,
that's you. Like, I know you show up, like, for me you show up as just this one person, but then to be able to see, to flip the pages and be like, oh shit, she got so much to her, like, this is so much, but in a way that is, it's in a way that it's so positive. Like, you can't help but just want to emulate that. Like, there's no reason
yeah,
to be jealous of that, but to want to be like, I love that. How can I get like that? Like, help me,
yeah.
please help me, help me.
I appreciate
So,
you saying that. One thing I want to just kind of clarify, when you say that you're fascinated with me or like getting to know me through this process with us working together, you know, it felt comfortable from my experience, and you
Mm,
can, correct me if I'm wrong. From my experience, it was comfortable for you because I was transparent about all of the ups and downs that had gotten me to a certain point, and that was helpful for you because you were looking for someone that you could see yourself in. Now, you had so many people that wanted to help you, but they weren't living a life that you would want to model yourself after. And so with us working together, it gave you an opportunity to see a possibility, a future possibility for yourself that you could be fascinated by. And it gave you something to like aspire to. And I just wanted to clarify that because it's not about me, right? The
right.
therapeutic process was about you. But because it was unconventional in a lot of ways, where we got to connect on levels that most therapists don't feel comfortable going, and I asked some of the hardest questions ever to help you really sort through the parts of yourself that you felt lost and confused by. Uh-oh, my
Mm.
lighting is acting weird. Um, I think it was helpful for you to see what was available to you and what was possible for you. And so just in that vein, what was the thing you appreciated the most about us working together? Come on, lighting.
To touch back on what you said,
Yeah,
yes, that is exactly why I felt so comfortable, because I didn't feel like I had people around me that were emulating the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And it's just like, okay, yeah, you guys are role models, but not the type of role model that I would need to become the person that I want to be.
yeah.
And then to answer your question was, what was the exciting part about working with you?
What did you appreciate most?
What did I appreciate most? The unconventionality of it all.
Tell
Because
me a little bit more about that.
I did have a conventional therapist where, she helped me to the best of her ability. And I will say that she was definitely the one that made me want to keep seeking therapy. But at the time, I just had so much going on that it wasn't possible for me to do so. So I will say that that was an experience in itself that opened the door for therapy for me. Um, and I will say that, like you said, what you touched on was not a lot of therapists are going to go to the, measures, or even doing the things that you do. That was part of the reason why I felt so comfortable and open with you. And then just the fact that you created a space for me to freely express myself. Of course, that's what therapy is, but I don't know how to put it into words with how it was with you. It was just the feeling that I got. It's like it's indescribable for me. It's like kind of like what's understood doesn't have to be explained. That's how it felt for me. And that was something that I just wanted to keep feeling like. And you always made me question the things about myself that I thought were normal, the things that I was taught that really weren't positive or actually helping me in my life. So it's just like I had to learn, like unlearn, accept, and relearn new things, new habits, and new ways of thinking so that I can, start being my best self and doing better and seeking things in a different way, or even thinking about it differently. Because for so long, of course, I had people telling me I'm beautiful and I'm intelligent, I'm smart, but on the on that same hand, it's just like they're downplaying me. They're calling me these things, saying that I'm stupid and I'm doing this and I'm not worthy of being loved, and all these other things that played a part into it that I did believe for so long. Because if you hear something over and over and over and over again, time and time again, you start to believe those things. So you start to move like that, thinking that that's really what it is for you. And it's like, that's what it was for me for so long. And I can say that a lot of my journey within this whole thing, it's been really spiritual, like internal for me. Yeah, spiritual, but it's been more of an internal battle for me, because it's like sometimes I know it here, but I don't know it here, or I'll know it here, but I don't know it here. So it's just like it was having to, like I said, unlearn, accept, and relearn new ways, new concepts, and just new thinking. So it's just like, yeah.
I love it. I'm sorry, my lighting is being wonky right now, so I was
You're
trying to
fine.
fix it while you were
You're fine.
sharing. But I love the distinction that you made between like knowing something in one aspect of your being, but not really getting it or being able to connect those dots in another aspect. And so, throughout our journey, you know, you've not only kind of graduated from being a particular therapeutic client through one organization that I was providing services through, but then we kind of expanded and grew together where you
Mhm.
kind of jumped into um, my world, right? And I think that's where you were kind of saying you got to know more about me and
Yeah.
you were able to be fascinated by the things that you learned about me outside of that particular arena. And so when you think about the work that we've done together, what what specific aspects of that work were most impactful on your journey so far? Like, what have we done? What were some of the things that we've done that actually helped to impact you specifically? What were some of those things?
Mm. These are some great questions. They're very thought provoking. Oh my goodness. I didn't think. Okay. What were the specific things? Okay. One most recently was the Women's Summit. Um, I'll expand on that. Is to be a part of a panel with women who are empowering not only themselves, but women who look like them, women who have gone through things but have not allowed those things that they have gone through to be the reason why they don't continue to progress. And to also know that like I would be welcomed in a space like that where my opinions matter, where my thoughts matter, where my words have a meaning. Like I didn't, because growing up you always hear, oh, stay out of grown folks business or whatever. So it's like to be at this point in my life where people want to hear my story, people want to know more about me, is part of the reason why I'm able to be, to do this. Because at some point in time, I didn't think that I would ever be a part of a women's summit or a summit in general, because I felt like I was going through so much mentally that how could me, someone who has all these mental hardships, help or even talk to someone who's, going through something. But that the women's summit proved to me that that's all the more reason to be doing it. Don't let the things that you have gone through stop you from helping someone else who's going through something, because your story could be the reason why they get out of it. And I would
Exactly.
love to be like that. That showed me more than anything. I will say that in the entire, I think that's like number one for me. That showed me that I'm more than capable of doing the things that I think about. Like, don't, like, not to let anybody play with me, play with my face, play with my intelligence, or even play with my experience. Because something that we've talked about is expansive over expensive, and that was an expansive experience for me, because I can take that with me wherever I go and be like, yeah, I was a part of this, and it helped me help other young women as well. And to also have Saida be a part of something like that, and to know that there are young women who are looking up to me to, help themselves. And it's just like, to have had been a part of something who had, the older generation, and then the generation after them, and then my generation, and even a generation after me, it was inspiring. It was awe inspiring, I will say, because as I said, I never would have thought that that would be me. So to be a
Right.
part of something like that, a sisterhood at that, to bring on for the next generation, the next, women that come after me, or even after that. And it's just like, that was definitely the one.
Yeah. I love it. So I want to highlight some things that we have done together. And so we've
Ooh.
got the big thing, right? That was most impactful on your journey. Um, because what I understand is that it was like a culmination of all the work we had done, and it had shown you that you had actually successfully done that healing work to get to that place and to be invited to a panel of that magnitude. It was an
Yeah.
amazing experience, and you did an awesome job.
Thank
I
you.
think you're welcome. I think some of the specific aspects of our work together that have been most impactful from my perspective would be, and you can tell me if you remember these exercises. We did one where we were practicing listening on different levels, like learning how to listen. Yeah, I'm gonna get you because you're like all the way up here, and I'm like trying to dig in the soil for right some of the things that
Oh
we've
my
done together.
goodness.
So, and you know my memory, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna remind you of some stuff that we did. So yes, listening on multiple levels. Um, Obviously we did a lot of uh healthy boundary setting, right? Creating healthy boundaries for yourself with different people in your life,
How
different
could I
relationships,
forget
including
the
work, things like that. It's some of the other things that I thought were very impactful to helping you even get to the summit, I would
mm,
say, it's like all of the journaling and the creative wellness activities that we did. I remember when we first got started, we would end every session with a
oh,
word or multiple words, right? And you would have the exercise of how did that word or concept idea show up in your life? How does it
yeah.
relate to what we
Oh
talked
my
about?
god.
How can you grow through that or see it from a different perspective? And that really got you into the habit of writing down your thoughts and ideas, clarifying what it is that
Yeah.
you are thinking. It helps you to see yourself from a different perspective, and even start to write a new future, write a new chapter for yourself. One of the most profound ones we were talking about, trust and trustworthiness, and like
Mm,
how that was such a huge thing for you, right? You talked about that a
what?
little bit at
Oh
first.
my goodness.
So
How
yeah,
could
I
I
think
forget
all of those have like really impacted how
Oh my
you
god.
identify yourself and
Yes.
how you show up in the world. It increased your level of integrity as a woman, as a young woman, and it
And my
helped you to,
confidence.
yeah, your confidence as well. I love that. And it helps you to recognize how you want to be as you continue that journey, because those activities were still pretty early on, but they
Yeah.
set the tone and they set the foundation for how you wanted to carry yourself as you moved further into your womanhood.
Oh
And
my
so tell me, did I hit the nail on the head with those? Because those were pretty impactful, I
yes.
would have
Oh
to say.
my gosh, Ativa, you just reminded me. Like, I be so.
It's
It's like it's
okay.
like it's like you know how you'll be paragliding. No, not paragliding. How you'll be like that's the one that be in the sky. Yeah, like I be
Yeah.
so high up. I be here, and then you just you like okay. Yeah, we gonna recognize that. We gonna acknowledge that, but we gotta bring you down just a little bit. Did you remember where you started? Because those were the stepping stones that got you
Yeah,
here, and I love
yeah,
that. That's like I feel like you would think I loved it that like you got that. You did amazing. You did great. But let's think about the steps that it took in order for us to get to that part, in order for you to fly, in order for
right,
you to glide. And
right.
it's just like,
Because yeah, those were the moments where you were too afraid to fly the nest, right? Those were
yes,
the moments where you were like, I don't know if I can do this, right? Or
yes.
like,
Oh my
how am I supposed to handle this situation, right? There were plenty of times where we did these role plays, and I would put myself in your shoes, and all so many times people like, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly how I was feeling, like how, and it's because we really built this
oh
amazing
my
connection where not only was I like nurturing you and pouring into you, but I was also in a lot of ways like modeling a version of yourself that you
that I
resonated
wanted.
with and
Yeah,
that you wanted to like, model yourself after. And
yeah.
it was because I was honest about my shortcomings. It was because I was honest about where I've come from. I
Mhm.
talk about this a lot in my therapeutic work. I used to be a very angry young lady, and to see who I've become now, it's like, oh, it's possible, right? Those little
Yeah.
baby steps are really the things that help you to get to where you're trying to be. So I'm glad that we touched on
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh, cause I be
So
on such a high.
so just in that same vein, like what surprised you the most about the therapeutic coaching experience altogether? And you see me doing this a lot because I just want us, it's our baby, right?
Yeah.
This experience that we've had is like a crystal. It's delicate, it's really beautiful, but it's also been like so enlightening in a lot of ways. And
Mhm.
so, what has surprised you most about the experience as a whole? Like, if we could look at it outside of ourselves, right? What is the thing that surprised you most about it? And were there any aha moments or breakthroughs during our work together that really shifted your perspective altogether?
It's the evolution of it all, because as you talk about the things that got us here, it's like that right there is like, it's like, oh yeah, we did do those things. Like, how could I forget? And it's just like to think about, because hearing you talk about it, it's like it makes me think of how scared I was, how confused I was, how, to be real, insecure I was. And not in the sense that I'm ridiculing myself for that, but because I didn't feel empowered in those moments. So to see and to hear, it's just like, damn, I've grown so much
Yeah,
that I really, really need to slow down, because sometimes I feel like I'm going so fast, I'm just moving, 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 that I don't take the time to just breathe
yeah,
and look back and be like, I'm not like I'm not just moving just to move, because you can confuse motion and movement.
yeah.
I'm moving. I
Ooh, that
am.
was a good one.
Eh,
We talked about
we
that one
did.
not too long
We
ago,
did.
and
We
we
did.
we we made the distinction that you could be in motion but moving backwards. You
Exactly.
could be in motion and chasing your tail. You could
Exactly.
be in motion like grasping for straws, but
Right.
movement is like actually creating, the distance between where you were and where
Where
you
you're.
are
Mm-hmm.
now. And so one thing that I think surprised you most about the process or the experience altogether is how much you enjoyed it, and like how much you would go and tell your friends, your coworkers, your family members, like, yo, my therapist is a bomb. Like, you
Oh my goodness!
would
I was
be talking
literally,
about
I
me
I
on
was
your off
bragging.
days, and you're
I
like, yo, why do I like my therapist so much? Like, is that normal?
Yes, no, because I literally would do that. I would literally be at work. I would be at home. It don't matter who I'm talking to. I'm like, oh, I love my therapist. Oh, I love her. Like, and then I would share my experiences with them. And for people, if people get it, they get it, and if they don't, they just either don't want to, or they in their own world. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to
Right.
share my experiences with them, and I wanted them to see, like, y'all, I'm not the same person. You may not have known me, but I'm telling you, I'm not the same person. I don't think the same way. I don't act the same way. I don't talk the same way. Like, I don't like. I
That's why
loved
we
it.
started with that
I
song,
loved
because
it.
you changed.
I
Things are not the same,
did.
right? You
I
had to
did.
like really see yourself differently. And one of the biggest ahas that I've watched you have is um how you used to downplay your effort, and you've now been able to give yourself the credit for
Yeah.
the hard work that you do. So like when we first met, Kishana had this tendency to say all the things she was doing wrong.
Yeah.
She
I
would be
did.
in the
I
midst of
did.
doing something right and thinking about all the stuff that she did wrong. And I just would have
Yeah.
to shift her perspective a little
You
bit and be like,
you would.
okay, I
You would.
understand. I appreciate you trying to take accountability for that other thing over there. But right now,
Right.
we're focused on what you're doing right.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, that has helped you to focus more on the positive than
Mhm.
on the negative. And it's helped you to shift your perspective from the negative to the positive. And this was really apparent when you were moving from Florida to Boston. And
Georgia, you mean?
no, when you were moving
Florida to
oh,
Georgia?
from Georgia. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh.
So you had made the transition to Georgia and then you transitioned from Georgia, right?
Mhm.
And so sorry. I remember in that moment I gave you like this example and I was just like, if you look at it and say all the worst things that are going to happen,
Mhm.
then how does that make the experience show up for you versus looking at it as an adventure, looking at it
Right.
as outgrowing your circumstances, looking
Right.
at it as, seeing that those things you graduated from that and now you can move on to another chapter rather than seeing it as, oh, I've done something wrong, I've rubbed someone the wrong way, they don't want me around anymore, now I gotta go. It was more empowering for you to see it from the positive and all the things you had done right up until that point that was
Right.
probably a reward for the
Not
effort you
even
had
really.
put in
Yeah.
versus you seeing it as a punishment for all the things that you had done wrong and now embracing the same situation from a completely different perspective, one
Right.
that was filled with possibility and one that was filled with like adventure as opposed to adversity and seeing all the hardship in it. So those
Definitely.
are some of the aha moments that I know that you've had and breakthroughs that helped you to shift your perspective, and it really does show up now as you speak because you can't even look at the stuff you did wrong and be like, oh, like you're all every time you try to look over there, you're like, nope,
I
I'm over
can't.
here.
I can't. Genuinely, I can't no more. And that's the craziest part about it. Like, to touch on what you said, how I would always look at the negative in it, is I will say that I did have I felt like I had somebody basically telling me all the things I was doing wrong. And it made me internalize that. And that was the only thing that I could see. I was
Yeah.
blinded by what they could see because I just wasn't doing it the way that they wanted me to do it because it didn't work for me. As I said, I kept trying to fit myself uh, into a person that they felt like I had to be, and that's why I felt lost. I was even more confused, even more lost, even more
Right.
distraught. So it was just like, okay, I guess that's all that I could see because that's all people saw in me or that person. And it's just like,
Mm,
okay. At that point, I guess it makes me think about that analogy you gave me. Like you holding the mirror up to yourself, but they were holding their mirror of
yeah.
themselves up to me and projecting onto me. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so what I'm hearing you say is that you finally stopped looking through their spectacles of you and started to see yourself from your own lenses and
Yep.
to really evaluate your growth, your process, and even your mistakes, right? Through
Mm-hmm.
your own lenses, not from someone else's.
Yeah.
And I love that for you. What would you say are some of the areas of your life that have improved the most while we were working together?
Mm, the way that I speak to myself. Because I
Mm,
remember, you remember how I used to always have something negative to say about myself. I didn't like, I would always be like, oh, I don't like this about myself. I don't like that about myself. But then it got to a point where you're just like, okay, so tell me the things you do like about yourself. What do you like? And then that right there, unbeknownst to me, it shifted my whole thinking. It got to a
like,
point.
I do like myself. I like a lot of things about
Yeah,
myself.
then it got to a point where he was just like, okay, I challenge, like you challenge. It's the challenges, bro. Or you challenge me. It'd be like, okay, I want you to at least say one nice thing about yourself every day. That right there, because my confidence played a really big part in the way that I showed up, not even just for myself, but for other people. So it was just like, as soon as I started speaking nicer to myself, everything else just started falling into line because people treat you the way that you treat yourself. That's what you taught me. People were treating me the way that I treated myself, and I didn't treat myself with respect. I didn't treat myself like I loved myself. So that is why people felt all the more reason to disrespect me and to do things to me because I didn't have boundaries, which in turn created the boundaries for me, which allowed people to see that you're not gonna play with me because I don't play about me. So you either gonna respect me or you not. And if you don't, you can leave. That was one of the biggest things that
Ooh,
I think those were two things. Those are the two biggest things that
yeah.
I definitely took with me because now I can talk to myself. Like every, I think we had a conversation one time, and I was like, oh, I just love myself. I was like, oh, I'm so pretty, I'm so smart, and it's just like I started doing those things every single day, and it's just like I started smiling more. I started talking nicer about myself more, and it's just like it within me is just like, okay, there's a light within me that was already there that was dimmed, but now it's shining. It's shining. Yeah.
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 I love that. So I hear that self-talk was one of the biggest things that improved in your life. And obviously healthy boundaries because you were no longer going to let other people talk to you crazy or, be disrespectful to you because you were no longer doing that.
Right.
Um, I would say some other areas of your life that I've noticed have improved would be your level of independence, financial and otherwise. I would say that you have now started to look at your life from the lens of having a career as opposed to just having a job or just trying to make money to survive.
Mm,
And I would say that your level of self-care has improved on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level as well as physical, right? So a lot of times
yeah.
people think self-care is mostly physical, like, okay,
Hmm.
take a bath, oh, do your hair, do your nails, that type of thing, that physical self-care. But for us, we really worked on restorative self-care where you were restoring your mental, emotional, and spiritual self into
Absolutely.
a space of wholeness. And I would love for you to just touch on some of those things, career wise, independence financially and otherwise, in self care. How have those things improved since you started working with me?
I'll say that with the spiritual, like I felt like this whole journey, like the whole therapeutic journey for me, our therapeutic journey was a lot more mental and spiritual for me, and which is why I feel like I progressed so quickly. I felt like my adaptability in all of it was just, it's like, whoa, I love it. um and I think one of the things that we did that also played a part into it was the fact that I started grounding myself more. And when I say that, I just mean in the things that I was already actively doing. I felt like I had my mind on so many things all at once that I lost sight of what really mattered in that point in time. Because I would allow things to trickle on to one another, and then I lose focus. So something that something that I had to work on was definitely reminding myself like it's okay to take your time with this, sit with it, understand it, accept it, and how can we move forward after this. That was one of the biggest things. So the grounding played a big part in that as well, like the spiritual, the mental, the physical, all of that. And then I'll say that independent, like the independence financially and as a whole. Oh yeah, I felt like I didn't really feel like I could do things on my own, in the sense of I did feel like I had to be around people in order to enjoy myself. But then it got to a point where I realized like I enjoy myself and I enjoy my presence and I enjoy my time alone. So I have to be able to, because I think a big part of that as well was because I didn't really love myself enough to sit with all the good, bad, and the ugly. So then it got to a point where it's just like, okay, I don't know how to do this by myself. So let me have other people around me so I can depend on them to make me feel good about myself, which was oh, a never. It ended, but it was just the spiral that I was in without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Financially, I'll definitely say that my finances, oof, has gotten so much better, and I'm proud of myself for that. It was the one thing that I really lacked, I felt like, was the discipline. And once I started disciplining myself with my finances, be like, okay, it's okay for you to be doing the things that you want to be doing, but you don't need to be spending money every single day, every single week, every pay. Take your time, think about the things that you need right now, and if you need to, go ahead and get them. But it's also okay to wait a minute on the other things that you want, because you can have your necessities and your wants as well, but you got to be able to realize, like, what's a priority, what do I need to take care of right now, and if everything else can wait, and have a little something on the side just so that you could spend on yourself. That was something that I had to really, really, really learn. And I'll say, career wise, something that we had talked about was, hold on, I gotta refer back to my notes, because you had I had it was real good. You was like, are you teach, like, just in general, are you trying to teach me how to survive, or are you trying to teach me how to live? And I think that for so long I was in survival mode, that's all that I knew how to do. I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to actually enjoy the little things, because I didn't have people telling me that, or teaching me that, or showing me what that looked like. So I can say that with this whole process, you taught me how to do that, because I was in survival mode, and survival mode for me looked like, um it didn't matter who I was with or what I was doing. I'm stepping on your toes just so I can get what I gotta get, because I don't know if it's gonna be there the next time I need it. So I was hurting people around me just to get the things that I needed, without even realizing it.
First
Without
of
even
all, I'm so happy you said that because that was coming up in my spirit as well as one of the things, one of the main strategies that I offered to you that helped you in your personal growth and transformation. And that was like cleaning up your messes with people,
absolutely
right? We have talked so much about, interpersonal things, friendships, relationships, whatever,
yep,
family, that type of thing. We bump heads with each other, right? People are
right,
people. We step on each other's toes. We hurt each other, whether intentional or not. But cleaning that up and not carrying that energetic baggage with you. That was one of the big, pivotal things for you that helped to clear up the mental chatter and to clear up the emotional clutter and clear up the spiritual, like, you know,
ties.
yeah, those, yeah, I'm glad you said those spiritual ties with people because you were still being hooked into their experience of you. You were
Yeah,
still energetically bound by the things that had happened with, without having forgiven yourself, without having, had those clarifying conversations with people, without apologizing. I
yeah.
remember one time I had suggested going on to like an apology tour. Do you remember that?
You
I'm like, girl,
did,
you need to go
you
on a whole
did, you
apology
did,
tour. You need to
and
make
I
a list of who
did.
you need to apologize to and don't care nothing about whether they forgive you or not, whether they happy
Yeah.
with you or not. Just do it for yourself. And
Mhm.
you had some things with other family members. You kind of made some messes that you hadn't cleaned up. And as soon as you started intentionally focusing on cleaning them up, so many other things opened up in your life. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that. And then let's transition into like life after coaching. What are you anticipating? I have a few questions there, but like tell us that big,
Yeah.
strategy and that tool that really helped you.
I'll say,
Uh-oh.
oh, we
Oh,
good?
it jumped. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say that when you suggested doing that apology tour, girl, I was scared. I was so scared, because I don't think that anyone has ever taught me to do that. I know for a fact no one has ever taught me how to do that, because a lot of the times I felt like, in order for me to, like, apologizing was something that I had to take pride in, which is a part of the reason why I didn't want to have to do it, because my pride was in it. I put
Right.
so much pride in it that I'm just like, no, I like, there was a lot of doubt in me that's like, no, I don't think I can do this. Like, I'm worried about what other people were going to say, but I will say that what you said, I not worrying about what other people had to say, whether they forgave me or not. Like, I wasn't doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself. And I will say that I still got a whole bunch of people that I need to apologize to, but I can say that I would definitely do that with no pride, because
Right.
it took me some time to get here, but the ones that were definitely weighing on me, oh baby, I feel so much lighter. I feel so much freer. I will say that. And I'm, like I said, I'm actively, continuously going on this apology tour, because I was doing a lot of things out of hurt, out of confusion, out of distrust, discomfort, just all of these things, because I was lost and confused, and just putting that on people who had nothing to do with it, because
Yeah.
I had people who hurt me, and I was taking that and putting that on other people, and it's not fair to them, because that saying, like they said, hurt people, and I was a hurt person hurting people. So it was
Yeah.
just like, it was, oh, it was terrible, just because I hurt them, but not because I did that. I love the fact that I did that, and I'm definitely gonna take that with me, as like, I'm taking everything with me as I go. But I will, have to come back and be like, Atiba, didn't we talk about this at some point? And like, yeah,
Right.
girl, we did. Okay, we worked through this. All right, I know what to do. Thank you for the reminder, and then move forward. So I can
Yeah.
definitely say that those are the things that was one of the biggest things for me, that like I was a little hesitant about,
Yeah.
because I was worried about the outcome. But the outcome,
Yeah.
it's it's way better than I anticipated. Cause look at me
Yeah.
now. You know?
I'm so proud of you. Yes, I appreciate you, talking about the difficulty in seeing that as a possibility to like actually take accountability for stuff and own up to things and say
Mm,
sorry and let people be as mad as they want to be for however long they're going to be mad
right.
about it, but for you to forgive yourself. And obviously, I'm
Mm,
always encouraging you to continue that process. Yeah, you want to say
I'll
something?
say that as soon as I started doing that, um, it was like I started forgiving myself for the things that people hadn't forgiven me for. Bless you. That I, no matter how much they tried to use it against me, I just would not let them. There was this one situation, I think you remember what I'm talking
Yes,
about,
yes.
where they just kept holding it over my
You
head. And
had to apologize for that like 17 million times already.
I'm just like, I'm not gonna keep apologizing for something that
Right.
I've already forgiven myself for. I sought
Right.
out that forgiveness, I got it, and I feel better about it. Like, I'm not gonna let you keep holding that over my head so that you can use it against me the next time you angry at me. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I see that you're upset. So what I'm gonna do is distance myself from you so that you can get the space and the time that you need so that you can forgive me. And if you don't, then hey, I understand, because what I did was fucked up, and I'm
No,
gonna
but but what sis did was, okay, this is, you want apology number 17,324. Let me give you my therapist number so that you can stop asking me to apologize and you can get over it your damn self.
that is exactly what I did. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. You ain't hearing me. You ain't trying to hear me. You literally want to sit in that anger. You want to take me with you. Nah, baby. Nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. So here's her number. You can call her when you want to. She's
Right.
she has a schedule, so make time. But
Yeah.
we not doing that no more. Like, I'm not gonna let you bring me down with you, or try to have me sit in that discomfort with you. Cause nah, I've
Yeah.
sat in it already. I was in it for so long that shit literally stressed me the fuck out.
Right.
I'm way, like, every time a job stressed me, I say this every time, I am way too young, too beautiful, and too intelligent to be letting a job stress me out. So if I'm not gonna let a job do that to me, what make you think I'm gonna let you do that to me? No
Yeah.
thank you, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey, no cheese, no thank you. No.
None of that.
No,
I
I'm not
love it. Okay.
doing that.
So let's make our way to this new threshold, right?
Yeah.
Of life after coaching. So we've made some amazing strides and you hit quite a few milestones with me over the past year. Um,
Mm.
and we went from official tissue therapy to therapeutic coaching, right?
Yeah.
Which was a lot less intense, still impactful, but it less intense because
Mhm.
you had gotten over certain hurdles and you were really looking to kind of get into your goddess groove, right? And so
Okay, 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 okay.
let's just think about like that transition from therapy to the solistic program that you participated in. How has your life changed from completing that big milestone to like where you are now? Because you're graduating again and life will continue to change after completing this program. But let's just think about like between that last threshold and this one, how has your life changed since completing those initial milestones?
So I'll say the difference between the two is more so with the therapy. I was healing and addressing my old self, my life, my younger self, my young Kishana, my baby Kishana, preteen Kishana, uh, teenage Kishana, and then a little bit of adulthood Kishana, because she was seeking out something, but she
Okay.
got it. She got it, and we've healed her, and we're continuing to heal her, because as we get older, there'll be as I get older, I feel like there'll be so many things that I may have not even talked about, thought about, or even addressed that may show up, but I have the tools to help me get through them and to work through them. So I can definitely say that those were the things, those that was a part of me that I was healing and working through, that I can say that now. um One of the things that has helped me with this was, setting the boundaries, and then also learning how to navigate being an adult, like working through my adulthood and how I'm going to get through the different phases of my life. And I think that having that transition, it helped me, like, okay, heal my younger self, because she was so hurt, and how to nurture her, in the sense of like how to mother her, how to help her figure out what was and what is. Like,
Hmm.
this is what was. We went through it, and I'm sorry that we had to go through it, but it's empowered us. Look at us now, and look at where we're going, because we're healing you, and we're showing you that all the things that we sought out to do when we were younger, we're going to achieve them now. Not through
Yeah.
the lenses of anybody else, but through our own. Because I can say that as a child, like as I was thinking, it's been very recent, um, maybe even a couple months. I've been thinking about what I wanted to do as a child, and I wanted to be a teacher. Like, unbeknownst to
Mm.
me, like, I used to love helping my teachers grade papers, pass out sheets of paper to the class and everything. As much as I, was shy, but that is something that I wanted to always do. Like, I was confident within myself, and there were certain things that I'd set out to do without me even realizing it. But the older I got, I had so many people telling me what they feel like I should be doing, how I should do it, what it'll look like when I do it, and it's just like, it got so, like, what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be got lost in the midst of all of that. But then here I am in, the therapeutic coaching, where I was able to find myself and, figure out what it was that I wanted to do, that I was holding on to, because young me was holding on to it. Like, it's like she was shielding it just a little bit, like this, like she was shielding it. Like, even though we haven't gotten to it yet, we're gonna get to it. And she held on to that idea, and it's just like, okay, yeah, thank you, baby, for holding on to that, because we're gonna take that and we're gonna nurture it, and we're gonna, let the roots grow, let the
Yeah.
tree grow, and then let the leaves fall where they may.
Yeah.
So definitely, I'll say that that's the difference between the two. And I think I don't think I know that I love that. I love the fact that I've transitioned, and it's like, I really did graduate from there to here, and I'm
Yeah.
graduating from here to go somewhere else, and it's just like, to see
Yes.
the growth in it all. It's just it's amazing, cuz I remember at some point in time I couldn't even tell you about what I was doing, and it's like, now look at me addressing all of these things, and I can say it with a smile on my face, without any pain, because it's just like, oh yeah, we done cried the tears already, but if it brings up any other emotions, it's just because it's like, I'm proud of myself. I take pride in that. That is something that I could take pride in because it's just like this is serving me and it's helping me become who I want to become.
Yeah.
And that's something those oh, remember when I cut my hair? That
Oh,
there
yes.
that right there, y'all, I cut my hair and I loved it for myself. When I
Yeah.
cut my hair, I felt so free. I felt so alive. It was that when I did that, that's when everybody started trying me. Everybody started testing me, and I'm just like, okay,
They were
so
trying to
what we
see if
gonna
you were
do?
the old Kishana. They were
They
like, "Wait,
were
you look like her, but you don't really look like her. I think I know you, but I
exactly,
don't know if I know you for real." So they kept
exactly.
trying it.
They did, and it was just like that right there was also a shift in my old self because I literally I cut all the hair that I held onto from when I was younger and a child and everything that I went through. I no longer had that on my shoulders anymore. So I was inviting a newness into my life, and that's when I felt like that's really when like all of my adulthood just showed up, and it's like ha,
Yeah.
like all of it just
Yeah.
came out like that, and I loved it. I love it, honestly.
So I definitely want to talk about that time because we that is a clear distinction of your old life and
Yeah.
how you had changed since, you know, um, being a part of therapy and a part of the coaching programs. And so let's just unpack that a little bit, right? So when we first started working together, you had all of this hair that held on to and represented the old aspects of you. It held on to the trauma that you had been through. It
Yeah.
held on to the story that you were telling yourself about yourself. It was
Mhm.
showing other people a version of you that you had outgrown. And I
Yeah.
remember us talking about, and you mentioned this about the leaves, right? This is an analogy we use all the time that trees don't,
Reach for fallen leaves.
right? And
So,
so when you had gotten to a place of empowerment and feeling equipped with the tools and all of the nutrients and the sunlight and the all of the things that you needed to fill you up, you were okay with releasing those leaves that were no longer necessary for you to feel like yourself. And
mhm.
so a new self was born. And I actually encouraged you to do some creative writing around that. You shared it at the
Yeah.
Spiritual Mothering Summit, which was so beautiful. If you missed it, definitely you want to catch up on that because it was so profound and beautiful.
Yeah.
But you cutting your hair was more symbolic of your growth and how your life had changed since graduating from one aspect of our journey into the next. And it was right around that time where you were like, I think I'm ready for something else.
Yeah.
Wherever you're going, I want to go. I want to grow
Yeah.
with you, right? I want to
Yeah.
see what my life looks like as I continue to, embark on these different levels of healing and growing. And so, um, I just I just needed to highlight that for a second.
Mhm.
In that you started to feel way more independent and you could go out by yourself, you could
Absolutely.
travel by yourself,
Yeah.
you could travel with other people and still feel self-sufficient enough to move at your own pace and to not let the crowd kind of pull you in. There were
Mhm.
so many things that I believe transformed, and you started doing your own hair.
Yeah.
You started cultivating that soil,
Yeah.
right? You started tending to that soil in a way that was very different than how it was before, where other people
Yeah.
may have had their hands in your hair. And I know for me, hair is a big thing because it is connected to
Who I
our
am.
crown, right? It
Yeah.
is our crown. And so if you have anything you want to share there, please go ahead and tell us about that. And then I would love to hear about what we talked about recently, which is those specific transformations that you've experienced personally, like the from and the to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's walk through those seasons because as the leaves fell and you cut your hair and you started to evolve, you embarked on some new seasons in your life. So I
Mhm.
would love to hear about that as well.
So I will say that Repeat the question for me, because I want, there was something that you had said that I
We'll
wanted
talk.
to
We'll
say.
talk about the hair journey first.
Okay. The hair journey. Um, as soon as I remember it, I, I remember that day too. Okay, so it was this one time that I went to visit my sister at her school, and we had went to this fashion show. It was really great. I enjoyed myself. But then it was like, I think that weekend after, I was like, I'm over my hair. Like, I really want to cut my hair off. Like, I don't want hair anymore. So I ended up taking that hairstyle out, cut my hair, my damn self. I was like, yeah, no, I'm done with this. Like, and it wasn't even to the point where, you know how we tend, like, people, we tend to hold on to our hair, and then it's just like we get sad or whatever. Nah, not me. I was so happy to cut my hair off. Like, I felt so free. Oh my goodness. Because as I said, I was definitely holding on to a lot of the trauma that I had gone through, because I never cut my hair. Yeah, I may have trimmed it every once in a while, but I never cut my hair at all. So when I did that, it felt like an awakening. Like, oh yeah, you knew who I was, but you don't know who I am. You don't know me now. And I can definitely say that people did hold on to who I was as opposed to who I was showing up as, because they were so comfortable with who I was. They felt like that person that I showed up as was going to keep showing up. And I'm just like, nah, that's who I used to be. This is who I am. Either you're going to accept it or you're not. And I had to definitely get to a point where I told people, leave room for me to make mistakes, but make room for who I am. Hold up. I think I said that wrong. 1 second, because I actually put that in my notes. Leave room. Hold on.
See why it's so important that you started journaling and writing these things down?
Yeah,
I'm glad
because
that
I
we
need
in
to say it
yeah,
correctly. Because
yeah.
I think I text. Hold on.
She said, quote me right.
Yeah, because,
Get me right now.
where is it? Shoot. Oh, shoot. Dang it, man. I
It's
can't
okay.
find it.
It'll show up. It's
Oh my
okay.
goodness. You're right. But I had to leave because I remember I told you this, the quote too. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was something along the lines of, leave room for me to make mistakes, but make room for me to show up as who I am, something like that. And then I gave
Yeah.
you the clear definition and distinction between leave and make. Leave is like
Mm-hmm.
you just drop something there, like it's gonna stay there. Leave room for me to make mistakes, but make room, meaning you have to
Mm-hmm.
take away all of what you knew, all of what you thought was, and make room for what is, because I'm showing up as someone else. Because you can't keep identifying me with that same person. That person was not healed. That person was doing things out of emotion. That person was not thinking critically or logically. And it's just
Right.
like she was surviving. She was not living. I was surviving for so long, and I felt like as soon as I cut my hair off, I found a reason to live. I started living for
Mm.
real. It's not to say that I didn't have a reason, but it felt like at that moment in time I found my reason. I'm living.
Let me ask you this, and then we'll go into the specific transformations. So if you need to
Mhm.
pull that up, you can.
Okay.
When we first started working together, you were experiencing anxiety and depression frequently,
Mhm.
like multiple times a week,
Yeah.
pretty often throughout the month. And that was a part of what you wanted to address, right? Yes, you wanted to be happier, you wanted to feel more self-confident, but you were really trying to get over these levels of depression and anxiety. When can you say you noticed that, oh wait, I don't feel like that anymore? Like I might have my moments, but it's not a every day, every week, every month type of occurrence. When did that you know kind of hit you?
Ooh. I don't think I will be able to put a time or a place on that, to be very
Okay.
honest with you. Mm, I don't know.
When's the last time you experienced the feelings you had when you first started? She's like, girl, what? What depression? What anxiety? What?
Okay,
I don't
wait.
know what you're talking
Like
about.
the feeling of anxiety and depression that I got before, it was like it was I want to say for me, the in the place space that I was in, it was bad because I really didn't have the motivation to not even do my homework, to want to even take care of myself, to want to like nurture myself in the sense that I'm giving myself back life because I it's not even because it's just mm, I don't damn I really don't know. Like I'll probably have my little moments where I'm just tired and I don't want to do anything, but
Right.
it's never been like that. It has
Yeah.
not gotten to that point because I think for me, when I did my big chop, I let go of that as well. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, there may have been little specks and pieces of it left over, but it wasn't so intense to the point where I couldn't do things for myself. Like I couldn't function. I couldn't even I didn't feel like it wasn't hold on. I didn't feel like I was beside myself. And when I say that, I mean it's like you just moving, like you're moving, you're just going with the flow, you moving with emotions because it's become a routine for you. Like you're like it's somebody else in your body and you on the outside of it just looking at
Hmm.
everything happen. That's what it felt like then. But now it's like, no,
Yeah.
no,
It kind of just dissipated is kind of
yeah,
where I feel like you're trying to get to. It's like it was there and it was heavy. It was like this dark cloud hanging over me
yeah,
very often. And then at some point it just wasn't there anymore. And the
yeah,
like every now and then you might see one of those clouds trying to pass over, but it never really stayed. And even in
yeah,
those moments where you were triggered by something or somebody may have upset you or hurt your feelings and you got into your emotions, it was more of you processing it than letting it stop you from moving forward. And even if you took
yeah,
a day or two and you just let yourself feel your feelings so that it can move through, it never really knocked you down the way it used to. And so I just wanted to highlight that because that's a big transformation to go from
yeah,
severe anxiety and depression to not even remembering when it went away. It's like, oh my God, it's just not even here no more. Like, that wasn't even me. That
yeah.
person, that experience is not even me anymore. So I'm
Oh
really
my
happy to hear
goodness,
that.
I
So
found it.
yeah,
I
okay,
found
good.
it.
See, I told you it would show up.
And it's on a date that the page that I dated too. 5/11/2024. What month? We
Nice.
in October.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So it says, make room for me to be the person I'm becoming and
Mm.
leave room for me to make mistakes because I'm human.
Quote me right. That's right.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay. Okay. So I gave the distinction, but I
Mhm.
said it backwards.
Okay, say
But
it again.
okay.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
Make room for me to be the person I'm becoming and leave room for me to make mistakes because I'm human.
Yes.
Ooh. Ooh.
She's
Ooh.
profound, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. From the first
Ooh.
couple sessions, I could tell that this young lady was so profound. She
Yeah.
couldn't necessarily see it, but through our
Yeah.
work together, she has started to recognize how profound she is. And that's why she needed to get her words right because she's like, no, wait, I am profound. And what I said was hitting. And I need to make sure that it hits close to home because it might be able to help somebody. So I'm really happy you
Exactly.
found it. Yeah. So let's talk really quick about the specific transformations that you've experienced on our journey. And this is kind of going to walk us through, before to where we are now and even what you're looking forward to.
Mhm.
Because, there are so many lasting impacts that this framework has had on you. And I want to talk about some of those too.
Okay. I can pull it up on my phone. It's the one that you had sent me, right? Yeah. The fall 2023.
Yeah, so walk us through your journey because we're about to cross another threshold. So let's wrap it up with something amazing to show how much progress you've made.
Okay. So we started in the fall of 2023. Before I mention this, I want to say that I did say that one of the things that I loved about moving from Florida to Georgia and even to here was the fact that I was able to see the seasons change. And I felt like as the seasons changed, I was changing. But because you don't see the seasons change in Florida, it was a big struggle for me to see my progression. So I felt like I was making some motion, but I wasn't doing no movement. So as soon as I um moved to Georgia, I felt like I started seeing a lot of my progression. And then, in Massachusetts now, I definitely do see that. Yeah, I see it now. It's clear cut, nice and clean. I love it. So, fall 2023, I went from feeling powerless to empowered. And then winter of 2023, I went from feeling empowered to intentional. And then spring of 2024, I went from intentional to self accountability. And summer of 2024, I went from self accountability to self reliance. And then fall of 2024, I went from self reliance to goddess groove. And I remember earlier today, prior to the session, I was telling Ativa that I don't really feel like Goddess Groove is something that I can go from because it's always going to be within me, something that I'll always be a part of. I feel like. So I told her that for my winter of 2024, I was gonna go with Goddess Groove to surrenderance and acceptance. So yeah, I like that.
Yes,
I
I
love that.
love that. Yes, she said, I'm taking the goddess with me. I like her. I like that
Yeah,
version of me. So that
yeah,
groove gotta go with me. And
yeah.
then what I really love about that is the art of surrender is something
Mhm.
that can carry you through your life. Like when you step into your feminine power and you know that you don't have to force things and you don't have to rush and you don't have to control things, you can actually accept and surrender and allow for things to transpire. You can let the seasons change. You can let the leaves fall. You can let those new blossoms start to come up in the spring. You can
Yeah,
water those things. You can, have your summer night in a cute shoe and everything is popping. You love yourself throughout all of it, right? You can
right.
go through those seasons of, being isolated and introspective and reflective on your journey, and you can also go towards like that action oriented but still receptive to what it is that is unfolding in your life. So I'm really excited for you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for sharing those transformations because those were the milestones that you actually made, right?
Right.
And they all came with their challenges, right? Being intentional comes with its challenges. Being self-accountable comes with its challenges. Learning to be self-reliant comes with its challenges, right?
Mhm.
To go from powerless to empowered, it all had those little hurdles that you had to cross, but you've done such an amazing job. Um, so just before we cross this new threshold, right? Because you're carrying this goddess groove nurturology framework with you. How do you see yourself continuing to apply these insights and strategies that you've learned in your daily life as you move forward? Like, how do you see being able to hold on to the lasting impact that it's had on your mindset, your habits, and just your overall well-being?
Um, I think this whole process has taught me to take my time and not to confuse me standing still with stagnancy, which is something that I would do for quite some time. But this process has taught me that it is okay to stand still because standing still don't mean you staying still. Oh, oh, Profound. Putting
Told
yourself
you.
first. I
Now I
love that.
gotta write that down because
No, because
she be making the therapist write down the stuff that she say. She might as well be my therapist now. Jeez.
wait, no, because I gotta write that down too. Standing still don't mean you staying still. Hold up.
Yes.
Hold up. 1 second.
Look, let me jot that down for my own life journey as I move forward too. Take note.
Mm,
See, this what happens. She done got even more profound. She's like, hold on, let me write that down so I don't
yup.
forget it. It's so beautiful. So the work continues, as you can see. She's
The work
continuing
continues.
to apply these things, these new strategies to her life. So it's beautiful.
Right. So I can definitely say that as I matriculate into my adulthood, it is it is it is mainly to acknowledge that I will experience hardship, but that is meant to be the framework for what is the end goal. And my
Mm,
end goal is to be successful. My end goal is to be happy. And successful in the sense that my spirit, my emotions, my physicality, my mentality, all of that is aligned. That is what success is to me. That's what success looks like to me. Because for so long, I was, as we saw, as we heard, I was not successful in all the aspects, and they weren't aligned in the sense of like, I'm doing the work, but now I've done the work and I'm continuously going to do the work. And it's going to show up in everything that I do, everything that I touch, everything I look at, people I continue to interact with. It's never ending. So I think that I don't think, I know that I am going to use the tools that I've gotten from this. And being that I know for a fact that our relationship is going to continue to grow, the growth is never ending, the opportunities are never ending, the milestones are never ending. So it's something that I'm going to be doing actively every single day. So it's not to say that I'm just because, like I said, just because I'm standing still don't mean I'm staying still. And please don't confuse the two, because there
right.
is a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Like I said, people tend to confuse motion with movement. We not doing that, guys. We are
Yeah.
not doing that. And it is okay to take your time. Take your time, most of all. Don't let anybody pressure you or rush you into doing things just because they think it'll look good for you. I've done it.
Yes.
I've
So
done it. I've
you're
seen it.
moving perfectly
I've
into our final piece of the night,
Mhm.
which is like how we can inspire other people and how your story can really inspire other people to grab hold of their life and really allow for the transformations to happen that they know will help them to get to this feeling that you're experiencing right now. But
right.
before we do that, I just want to do a little bit of coaching because I can't help it. Want to shift your perspective a little bit. So I
Okay.
heard you saying your end goal is success and happiness. Now, the question I have is, are you feeling like you're not successful or happy right now, that it needs to be an end goal somewhere in the future? Or is it that you seek to continue feeling successful and happy despite the hardships that you may face
I
in your life?
let me correct myself. It's a never ending goal.
Okay.
It's not that it's going to just stop there. It's
Okay.
not to say that I'm not happy or content or successful in any of those aspects, because I feel like I am. And as things come to an end, not an end, but like as we transition,
Mhm.
I feel like that is something that I want to continue having aligned, because
Mm,
as I said, I know what it's like, and I know what it looks like for me. So I know what the like what it would look like if I was reverting. I know what those things look like
mm,
now, so I can address and be like, okay, this is what this is. I can call it out by its name and be like, okay, this is what this is.
yeah,
Now let's see what we can do to improve it so that we don't keep feeling like this. And something
yeah.
that you did teach me was, if even if I don't feel like doing something, do it for a minute. 1 minute, just 1 minute. Do it for a minute. No more, no less. Do it for a minute. And if you feel like after that 1 minute is over and you don't want to do it no more, then don't do it no more. But if you feel like you so in tune with it, you just like you gotta continue, then by all means, please. But something that 1 minute taught me was to set realistic goals that are achievable for me. And not in the
Right.
sense that I'm overwhelming myself, because then if I set a high goal that I can't reach, then I feel like I'm not doing enough. Then I feel like I'm not successful. Then I feel like I'm a failure in a sense. And it's like, no, that is something that I want to apply to every other aspect in my life, because I'm still working on discipline. I still got to work on my organization, and I also have to be, a lot more intentional with a lot of the things that I want to do. And I feel like those are characteristics that I can be taking with me as I move on. It's not
Yeah.
something that you just stop at one certain point. Nah, it's, as I said, it's never ending.
Yeah. So I appreciate you clarifying that. And I'm glad I asked because I think a lot of times people hold happiness or success as like this marker that once they get to it, then they get to kick their feet up and they never have
Right.
to, do
Mm-mm.
anything because I'm successful or because I'm happy in this moment. And so what I heard you say is that throughout this process, you've learned what success actually is. You've learned
Yeah,
what it feels like to be happy and to be proud of yourself for things that are aligned with how you want to show up in the world. And so, because you know what that looks like for you, yes, it is kind of like a benchmark now that you can say, listen, if I'm not happy or if I don't feel like I'm successful at something, I know how to get back to that feeling. I know how
exactly.
to move towards it because I understand what that means now, which is a huge transformation and an amazing result to say that like you had no real idea or sense of what success was or what happiness actually was before we got started. And now you know what that looks like for you.
I
You
do.
know what it means to feel happy. You know what it means to feel successful at what you're doing and just within your own spirit, within your own soul. You don't have to be doing anything. You could be resting and still feeling successful. You could be
Oh my
taking good care
goodness.
of yourself and
Yes.
feeling successful and happy. So I love that. I appreciate you sharing
And not letting anybody make me feel bad for the rest that I am
that.
taking.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
that's another thing that I had to learn, because I would let people make me feel bad for wanting to rest, even if it was for a day, for an hour, not do nothing, just be lazy. And it's like I had people making me feel bad about that, just the little things. And I'm just like, then it got to a certain point where I was just like, why don't you rest? Like,
Yeah.
clearly that's why you so tired, that's why you so cranky. You need to
You
do
know,
what
you think
I'm
it
doing.
would be obvious, right?
Exactly, like clearly you need what I'm doing. I'm taking the proper steps to make sure that I am centered, that I am aligned in all aspects. That's what
Yeah.
you need to do. And I
Yeah.
mean this with love. I literally
Yeah.
had to say that. Like, no. And don't judge me or make me feel bad about it, because we all need to rest. We can't keep
Yeah.
moving around like we robots, because at some point robots die. And why would you
Yeah.
want to be a robot and die? Like, no, you have a purpose. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Rest.
I love it.
What?
All right, so Kishana said chop chop, right? So for those of you guys who, you know, either yourself or someone you know considering either joining one of my coaching programs or just seeking out, therapy in itself with somebody, like me, right? Ain't nobody like me though.
No.
But Kijana, what would you say to someone that's considering joining one of my programs but might be hesitant? What would you say to them?
Do it. There should be no reason why you should be. Well, okay, no. Let me not say that there's no reason. I understand your hesitancy, because it is new. Anything new is uncomfortable. But you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's something that I had to learn as well. Because there's nothing in comfortability for you. It's just routine. That's all comfortability is. Because if you get comfortable in one thing, you're just gonna keep doing it until you don't feel satisfied. And that's what that whole hesitancy is. It's the dissatisfaction. You're dissatisfied with whatever it is that you're going through. So of course, if it's with a Tibo or even through someone else, please do it. Please do it, because I want my generation to be the healed generation. I want my generation to be the
I love
generation
it.
that the old heads look at and be like, wow, they actually doing right now. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing what I wish I did, because hurt people, and the first hurt people that we may come in contact be our parents, our family members, and they be the people that be hurting us and not even realizing it. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry that you had to go through the pain that you went through, but no more. You don't have to keep going through that. Seek help. And not in the sense that, not even to be funny, but we all need help. We all need some semblance of help. And if you
Yeah.
don't have the support, I can promise you that you'll gain the support as soon as you started. I promise you
Yeah.
that. I put that on me and on God. You will get that help as soon as you start. And if the people start falling away like leaves on a tree, they wasn't meant to be on your tree. They wasn't meant to
Mm.
be in your garden. That's all it is. You got to start, and then as you go through it, you will have to start weeding out some things and some people in your life, because they are no longer serving you or the journey that you're on. Some people
Yeah.
are meant for a reason, and some people are meant for a season. So the
Okay, she
ones that
preaching now.
and the ones that are seasonal, hey, it was a good run. Yes, it may hurt. Not to say that you won't be going, you won't feel the pain of it, because you built some love for those people. However, those people are no longer serving you on your journey. So, baby, kiss them goodbye, wish them luck, and move on. Well, that's what I did. I love them. Hope they doing good. Hope they eating. We just not eating at each other's tables no more. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
And she learned that from your girl. So you could go ahead and try
It,
your hand at other therapists like she did.
yeah,
Or you could come and get this nurturing. You could come and get this
yeah,
nurturology because it
man. What are they?
definitely has been tried and tested over decades now of working with, all ages and all, situations. And so I appreciate the encouragement
Mhm.
overall for people to really get that help. And
Absolutely.
obviously, I want people to, tap into the vibration we have going on over here because I just love to see the vibrancy that has now radiated from you from this experience. So you were mentioning really quick about family, right? And so how has your growth like positively impacted the people around you? Even those
Thank you
people
for
that
that.
you've had to let go of, but like how has it positively impacted your family, your colleagues, even people within your community?
Thank you for that question. I appreciate it oh so very much. You don't even know how much I appreciate it. I definitely did have some people in my family that didn't believe my growth was real, that made me feel as if I wasn't doing good, I'm not doing right, just because it's not something that they would do. They did question a lot of the times the things that I was doing, but something Atiba did have to teach me is nobody's journey is going to look the same. Life is a marathon. Life is never at the journey in life is never ending, because as you grow you are continuously learning things, and every day is a new chapter, a new day to achieve something else or to try something new. So I will say that the people that I had in my life didn't believe that I was actually doing anything. They thought because I was standing still, I wasn't. I just they thought because I was standing still, I was staying still, but I really wasn't. I was, as I told Atiba, I was hibernating. I was getting myself together. I was preparing myself for that the seasons that came to pass, and it definitely has shown up, because I've had people in my life tell me, the same people tell me, I apologize for saying that your growth was fake, because I can
All right.
see now that it is definitely real, and you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And I was like, yeah, and don't do it again. And don't do it again. Like,
Put some respect on my name,
and
okay?
and that's exactly what I said, because you're not gonna know. Give me my credit. Like,
Yeah.
I remember at one point in time, I literally would beg people to give me the credit that I deserved. But as I got through this, as I went through this, I started demanding that. Like, you can't look at me and not say that I have not done the work, that I have not been doing what I am meant to be doing. Just because it doesn't look like what you want it to look like doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything. I'm doing the things that I'm doing for myself and that are serving me. So you gonna see it when it's time to be seen. I'm gonna pop out when it's time. So I'm gonna take my time and go through it. So
Yeah.
and don't like I had to remind myself not to let anyone pressure me into doing anything. Anything
Yeah.
didn't matter what it was. I had to set that boundary. I had to stand on it because I remember, I think I told you this. A boundary with no consequence is just a suggestion.
Hmm. Yes. And we definitely talked about how a lot of times people think they're setting boundaries for other people, but really and truly, you're setting the boundary for yourself. And
Yeah,
once you set the boundary and you tell yourself, we're not tolerating that anymore, then you have to have what your consequence is for someone trying to pull you out of a boundary that you've already set for yourself.
yeah.
And so, as y'all can see, her confidence and her sense of purpose has completely evolved since being a
Evolve,
part of this process,
evolve.
being a part of therapy and the coaching programs that I offer.
Mhm.
Just being in the community and having these conversations because throughout our time, yes, we have our one on one sessions, but we also meet with other women. Yes, we have events that we can come together and talk about some of these really pivotal topics that are impacting all of us as women and mothers. And so that check, confidence, sense of purpose, definitely got that. Yes, I love you too. Can you describe like I know I had asked a specific moment when you realized the dark cloud of depression and anxiety was no longer hanging over you. But like when did you notice or realize that coaching itself was really making like a tangible difference in your life? Was there an interaction? Was there a situation or just a moment that you were like, oh shit, this coaching stuff is really working? Like my therapy is actually working.
Yeah, it was when I started setting the boundaries, one, and then also one thing that I would do a lot was everything that happened to me, I had a reaction for it. So as soon as I
Mm,
started stepping back and taking the time to actually listen and hear what people were saying, that is when I realized, like, oh shit, I'm actually changing. Like this therapeutic coaching shit is actually working, and it definitely. I think this was before I had my trip during the summer to go to
okay.
Florida. Yeah, during that time, that's when it shifted for me, and I was like, wow, I'm really moving. I'm making some movement. That was when it hit me for real. And I was just like, y'all can't play with me no more. And I'm not gonna keep letting y'all. And it also made me realize like a lot of the people that I surround myself with, family included, they're toxic. They need help. They need therapy. And I'm just like, okay, all right, I'm gonna let y'all see what I'm doing, like the help that I'm getting, so that you can come to me and you can ask me, how did you do it? What did you do? Put me on. And if they don't, then we're gonna have a conversation, be like, hey, I realize that you're going through some things. It may not be physically, but I can hear it just by the way that you
Hmm.
talk. And I think that there's someone that I can connect you to that can help you get the things that you're searching for. And I've done that, and I want to keep doing that. I want people to feel as if that they can go get the help that they deserve, because we all deserve to be helped. Because why
Yeah.
would I want somebody who's either going through something or have gone through something or even the same thing that I went through and feel like that the only way through it is out? I feel like
Yeah.
that's selfish of me, because I
Yeah.
know what it feels like to feel like that. And it's just like,
Yeah.
guys, I want us all to be happy. So why not get the help that we deserve? And it's so
Yeah.
saddening to me when I hear people say they don't want to talk to a therapist because they don't want to tell them their business. I'm like, that's the whole point of therapy. The whole reason why you're like that is because you were taught that. That is a teaching that is taught to you. And it is
Hmm.
not healthy. It is not normal. It is not. Because those are the same people that are going to be sitting there and wondering why you are the way that you are when they're the reason why you like that. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, huh?
So I appreciate you saying that, and that's such a profound point to make. Because for a person that has gone through the things that you've gone through, I
Yeah.
could really see how you wouldn't want to say that out loud. Like, I don't want to tell this random lady I don't know from nowhere about the things that I've been through. But how has it helped you to actually say those things out loud and get it out and find a way to heal it? How has it helped you to actually let it out?
I will say that if I didn't, then I would still be where I was. Because, like I said, I wanted a transformation, I wanted the shift, I wanted to evolve, but I had to start somewhere. I had to
Yeah,
start. There has to be a beginning point to get to somewhere, to get something that's either because everything is tangible. I had to
yeah,
get something that was tangible in order for me to get like this. Cuz
yeah,
this is an expansive experience. This is something that I can take with me as I matriculate into my adulthood and be like, y'all, I did this. I can show you. I can tell you. I am living proof. I have the notebook. I have the text message, the notes, all of it. So
yeah,
it's not to say that it is fake because this is real. And we
yeah.
are living in a world where people feel like they have no support, which is why I try my hardest to advocate for this because I know that it is hard and I know that people feel like they can't go nowhere, they can't get it, and it's like it's it it's in the palm of our hands without us even realizing it, and that like that right there, it just be making me so sad because I'm like, there are so many people out there that I know need help, that I know want help, but I feel like I'm not in a place where I can help them access that, and I want to make that accessible to them. Like, I want everybody to have this. That's
Well, I
just how
think
I feel.
you're definitely doing that. And the difference between like making something accessible to someone and like seeing it through for them is it's a thin line, right? Like
Right.
you can bring the person to the support, which is what
But
your
they have to
story is
work through.
definitely doing. But they have to see it through. And so your passion and your desire to see them get the help that they need is like the pushing that other people may have offered you for you to get to the door. And once you
Mm,
show them, like, hey, here's the door, I do know how to help you access it. But it is up to each individual person to
mhm,
see the possibility of a completely different experience for themselves. And I think that's something that we have been able to do together because although you wanted something different, you didn't know what it was. And we were able to
mhm,
figure out what it was that you actually wanted to see for yourself. And I would say, and this is the last question because I would love for us to wrap up.
mhm,
Um, I want to share the thing that I feel most proud of you for
mhm.
that as you've completed this program. And then if you could, because I would love for you to have the last word, if you could tell us what you're proud of, which you've shared it a bit, but
Mm,
sum up your experience in one sentence, and then we'll close for the evening. In celebration of you,
okay.
um, I would say that I am most proud of how you've been able to own your story and the very thing that you were holding on to that caused a lot of shame and guilt and the chaos and confusion, that very thing that you were holding on to, you've released it and you've owned it and you've
Mm,
externalized it in a way. Like it, even when you were talking about it earlier, you at one point you were using the pronoun you, and then at some point you switched it back to like I, and that's how I know that you've now looked at this
oh my
thing
god.
as an experience that you've had and not a part of you, right? Like,
Mm,
so your nose is a part of you, your
right.
eyes are a part of you, but your hairstyle is an experience. It's
Mm,
something that you can see as a part of, what you've experienced, but it's not you, right? I am not my hair. So you have
right.
really taken ownership of your story in a way that not only empowers you, but it also allows you to be separate from the trauma, separate from the thing that has happened to you, as opposed to you wearing it as your ear, or like as your skin, right? So because when you were wearing it as your skin, you couldn't set healthy boundaries, you couldn't be honest.
Mhm.
When you were wearing it as, this is shame, this is me, this is my guilt, this is my story, this is my truth, it was a difference in how you saw yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you let other people, handle you in a lot of ways. And as soon as you started to distance yourself from it and say, this is an experience, not a part of who I am, you've
Mhm.
actually been able to like empower other people by sharing your story, because that thing you were afraid to say out loud, you said it like it was nothing on the summit. You said it like it was nothing tonight. You said it like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what it is, but it's what I cut that off with my hair. Like I released that.
I
That
sure
ain't even no thing.
did.
So I'm really proud of you for that. I'm
Thank
just so
you.
happy that you now have a story that doesn't that experience doesn't define you, and
Mhm.
that it doesn't dictate who you are and how you show up in your future. It is
Right.
a part of the experience that you've had, but it's not all of your experience. It's not the central focus of your experience, and it's not the
Mhm.
main thing you need to go to and talk about and trauma bond and trauma dump with other people over it. You can actually, change it like your hairstyle. Oh yeah, I'm talking about
Yeah.
that today, but I'm gonna change that tonight. I ain't even worried about it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So go ahead and tell us what you're most proud of
Oh
having
my
completed
gosh.
this process, this coaching program, and then sum up your experience in one sentence, and then we will call it a night.
I'm not gonna lie to you, you can't say something like that and not expect me to just sit here and be like, oh my goodness, stop. I feel like throughout this whole thing, like I've learned to just, accept, like acceptance was one of the biggest things that I had to learn. Um, because if I didn't accept what happened to me, then I feel like I wasn't accepting who I was. It's like I can't, like, even with forgiving myself for the things that I did and even the things that I didn't do and how it played a part in a lot of the guilt that I had within myself, because I let, like I said, a lot of people project onto me and I held onto that thinking that that's how I really felt when it really wasn't. It was a lot of what other people felt like about me or for me, I guess in a way, like they care, like people pity you or in a way, and it's just like, I don't want that. I want people to realize, like, I am not what happened to me. Like, I'm not, and it's not my fault. I just so happen to be, someone who, you know was there, and it's unfortunate that that happened, but that is not who I am. Yeah, that person did what they did, but that's not who I am. And I can take that and say honestly that I don't feel the pain of it anymore. And I'm so proud of myself for that, because I could never talk about it without feeling icky, like without feeling disgusted. And it's just like, I don't feel that anymore, because it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything. I did nothing wrong. I was just a person, a bystander, someone who just so happened to have had something happen to them. So yeah, I'll say that. And to sum this up in a sentence, I feel like that's tough. I feel like that's a real challenge that you gave me, Atiba, and I kind of don't like that, because you can't just sum this up into a sentence. Um, uh, I will say that overall, I am proud of myself and how much I have achieved thus far, and I'm looking forward to what it is that I can do, in the future and in the weeks to come. And I just wish that everybody gets what I got. You get that healing, you get that forgiveness, you get that happiness, you get that success that you're searching for, that support that you're searching for, because we all deserve it and it's there. And if you feel like nobody supports you, I support you. I got you. I got you, because all it takes is one person. One person. And I just wish everybody love, happiness, peace, and all of that. And success. Like success overall. So yeah, I'm so excited. I just love this. I do.
Thank you.
Of
I
course.
appreciate your time and all
Of
of your
course.
wisdom and insight and your experiences. I hope this blessed y'all. I love
Yeah.
you. We'll see you on the flip side. And if you need me, holla.
I love that.